Ling Xun didn't know that in Qianxi and Lu Ting's original plan, they also planned to kill Ling Xun and dump his body in the abandoned mine. It's just a calculation, but it's calculated on himself, which is probably something that the two of them never thought of when they were alive. This abandoned mine is very deep, and there is no end in sight. After taking a closer look, Ling Xun walked in carrying the bodies of Qianxi and Lu Ting. The cave is twisty and dark, the walls are jagged, showing a blood-like crimson color, and many excavated places can be seen. A small vein of fire copper was stored here in the past, but it has been abandoned for more than 100 years now, and the fire copper that I want to come to it has long been excavated. However, Ling Xun didn't come here for this thing. After walking in twists and turns in the mine for about a short time, Ling Xun stopped in front of a pit. After throwing the bodies of Lu Ting and Qianxi into the pit, Ling Xun did not leave, but continued to move forward along the pit. It's just that the deeper you go, the more humid and gloomy it is, the quieter the atmosphere, and the dark environment makes you feel hairy. Squeak! Suddenly, a sharp whistle sounded, and I saw a line of fire suddenly shot from the depths of the mine, cutting through the darkness, extremely dazzling. Really? Ling Xun was not surprised when he saw this, but a smile appeared on the corner of his lips. Puff! His wrists trembled, the sword light flashed, and the rushing line of fire was split, and it turned into a fire rain and fell to the ground. Ling Xun leaned over and saw that it was a bat, but its head was chopped off at this moment. This bat looks extremely ferocious, with outstretched fangs, protruding eyes, and a pair of bright red and translucent wings, like pouring blood. Red Blood Bat. When Ling Xun was a child, he had read a book called Wanling Po kept by Miss Tulu, and there was a record of red-blooded bats on it. This beast is a kind of alien species. It is nocturnal, and it lives by bloodthirsty. If it is bitten by it, it will suffer from blood poison. If it is not treated in time, it will die violently within 3 days. However, Ling Xun didn't care about this. According to the A-1 there must be blood marrow sand hidden in places where red-blooded bats haunt. Blood pulp sand is actually the teeth shed from the mouth of the red-blooded bat. Every 3 years, the red-blooded bat will smash the stone with its mouth, and take the initiative to smash its mouth full of fangs. After a month of rest, new teeth can be born. For cultivators, blood marrow sand is a highly valuable spiritual material. It can be used as medicine and can also be used to smelt spiritual ink, but the greatest value of this substance is to help cultivators to refine their muscles and bones, and to refine marrow pulp! For cultivators who want to break through and advance to the 5th level of Zenwu, if they can obtain the blood spirit sand, the hope of success should be increased by at least 20%. Therefore, this blood marrow sand can also be regarded as an expensive spiritual material. Earlier, when he learned that there was a fire copper mine in Fian village, Ling Xun was moved. He knew very well that places where fire copper could grow would often attract red-blooded bats to live in. The natural environment of fire copper can form a natural protection for the red-blooded bat. Ling Xun was aware of this, and had the idea of exploring this place, but he couldn't be sure whether the big men who mined at that time also discovered this secret. However, seeing this red-blooded bat hitting his hand at this time, Ling Xun dared to be sure that there must be a lot of blood marrow sand hidden in the depths of this mine. Thinking of this, Ling Xun couldn't help but quicken his pace. Blood marrow sand is a good thing, even if it is sold. Its value is quite high. If you can collect some, it is no less than a considerable wealth. Now Ling Xun is poor and white. In the future, if he wants to enter the Xiao Empire, he cannot do without money. Even if it is for his own cultivation and to go further in the spirit pattern, Ling Xun has to work hard to make money. No way, cultivation requires money, and training a spirit pattern also requires a lot of financial support. There is a saying in the world that the birth of every spiritual pattern master is piled up by mountains of gold and silver. This is not an exaggeration. Seal carving spirit patterns require seal brushes, spirit ink, and a carrier, all of which are indispensable. and spirit ink is the most expensive among them. Because Lingmo requires all kinds of spiritual materials to smelt, the higher the quality of seal carving, the higher the requirements for Lingmo. In this way, the requirements for various spiritual materials required for refining Lingmo are not will be low. This is just spiritual ink. If you consider the selection and attention to seal brushes and carriers, you can't do it without money. And when it comes to engraving spirit patterns, it's normal to fail. And one failure is equivalent to wasting a lot of money. No spiritual master can guarantee a perfect success rate. Therefore, in addition to talent and aptitude, those who can become a spirit pattern master also need massive amounts of money for support. In the future, Lin Xun will go further in the spirit pattern, and he is destined to be inseparable from money. Of course, if one day one truly becomes a spirit tattoo artist, it will be easy to make money. There is also an old saying in the world, the smell of money wafts in the fingers of every spirit pattern master, because the spirit pattern arrays engraved in their hands can often sell for a sky-high price that makes the world go crazy. Lin Xun followed Mr. Lu to learn the spirit pattern since childhood. How could he not understand this truth? Before becoming a spirit tattoo artist, one must make crazy money, study crazy and engrave spirit tattoos, so as to have the hope of becoming a spirit tattoo artist. And when you truly become a spirit rune master, wealth, status, and fame are all at your fingertips. In Lin Xun's opinion, seal carving spirit patterns is his own survival skill. Only by surviving first can he provide wealth and material guarantee for his cultivation path. He is not a son of a wealthy family who does not have to worry about money at all, nor is he a descendant of a nobleman with various cultivation resources. He came to this Ziyao Empire alone, poor, and the only one he can rely on is himself. As we went deeper into the mine, more red-blooded bats rushed out on the road. Fortunately, these little things looked hideous, but their attack power was very ordinary, and they were easily killed by Lin Xun. Puff puff tilde. Along the way, there were all the dull sounds made when killing the red-blooded bat, and apart from that, there was only the sound of Lin Xun's footsteps. However, with the passage of time, the number of red-blooded bats has increased, and sometimes groups of bats roared together, like a cloud of fire, so Lin Xun had to be careful, waving the blue short blade in his hand. Do not splash water. Speaking of which, this short blue-green blade was still a self-defense thing that Mr. Lu gave him when Lin Xun was a child. This short blade is engraved with a spiritual pattern. Therefore, although this short blade is incomparably sharp, it is a treasure that has not yet been entered into, and can only be regarded as a mortal tool. The so-called entry means that there is a grade, and there is only one sign of entry, that is, whether there is a spirit pattern engraved on the treasure. This kind of treasures with spiritual patterns carved in seals are also called spiritual tools. According to the different powers, spiritual tools are divided into 4 categories: human level, earth level, heaven level, and pure yang. Each level is further divided into lower level, middle level, upper level, and top level. Generally speaking, only cultivators with a cultivation base above the spiritual astral realm can exert their full power. Now Lin Xun Kai only has the second level cultivation level of Zenwu. Even if he holds a spiritual weapon in his hand, it is difficult to exert its power. However, although this azure-colored short blade is not of the highest quality, it is only a mortal weapon, but its power is extraordinary. After all, it is made of several rare spiritual materials, so how can it be compared with ordinary ones? This short knife was also called Breaking Xiao by Lin Xun, which means there will be a time to break the sky. With the Xiao Dao in hand, Lin Xun continued to move forward, but to his surprise, this mine was extremely secluded, as if it had no end. Up to this point, he had been walking in it for more than an hour, at least dozens of miles away. And the deeper you go, the darker the light, and the darkness is full of darkness. Only with the help of the dark red halo reflected on the walls on both sides, Lin Xun can barely see the road ahead. All of this greatly affected his vision, making Lin Xun feel a little embarrassed when facing the red-blooded bat that suddenly attacked. Later, Lin Xun had given up the idea of distinguishing the red-blooded bats with his eyesight. He held his breath and began to perceive the dangers around him with his mind. It's no different from fighting with your eyes closed. At the beginning, Lin Xun was not used to it, and he was almost bitten by those red-blooded bats several times, but he gradually became familiar with this fighting method, and he began to fight with ease. And really relying on perception to fight, let Lin Xun have a lot more understanding of martial arts practice, and some of the obscure and mysterious things in the original six-word sword art that have not yet been understood, have also been mastered by him one by one. Swish, swish, swish. The sword light flashed, and a shocking rainbow appeared suddenly in the dark, killing the red-blooded bats that came by surprise one by one. By this time, Lin Xun had been immersed in his understanding of the six-character saber art, completely forgetting the passage of time, and his mind was ethereal and clear. Under this circumstance, his swordsmanship is becoming more and more skilled and more concise, and there is already a faintly exposed, mysterious and self-evident true meaning. Fortunately, it was Lin Xun. After comprehending the xiaoming divine art to apostrophe, his soul has been improved and tempered a lot, and his perception of the surrounding environment has become clear. If it were another true martial arts second-level powerhouse who dared to fight without sight, I would have been bitten by the scarlet-blooded bat with holes all over his body, and he would have died on the spot. I don't know how long it took. Lin Xun only felt that his perception was suddenly empty, and he immediately woke up. Looking around, he saw that he had come to the end of the mine. At the end of the mine tunnel is a huge rock wall, which has not been excavated yet, so it is obviously impossible to get through. After taking a look, Lin Xun's eyes could not help shrinking slightly. The ground here was actually full of rotten corpses and bones.